How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Georgie Man and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about Chainsaw Man chapter 123. So, what did you think about this week's chapter? I think this chapter was very fascinating in many levels because we got clarification on some things that were previously established, as well as we got new developments. And a lot of them shocked me. A lot of them I was caught off guard, and I was, mildly surprised, as well as I was very thrilled about the surprises that we got in this chapter. Now, before we get into this week's chapter, I just wanted to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all Chainsaw Man anime and manga content in the near future. Really appreciate if you guys could subscribe. It really helps out. So if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would really appreciate it. Now, with that being said, let's get into this week's chapter. So the chapter starts off where we left off in last chapter, which is pretty much Asa running away from this devil thing. And what we see in this chapter is that we see that the devil's still manifesting itself. It's still grabbing body parts from some of the corpses, and we see that, this devil grabs a female body and starts, destroying it, and why not? And eventually gets the head and puts it, in itself. And he's like, okay, it's time. It's time that finally I get to show my stuff. I'm about to cook something extravagant. And we see that this devil has literally a chef's gear. You got the hat. This devil really cooking. It's insane, because I was like, if anybody could do this, it's Fujimoto always throws some something wacky like that, because this devil is not actually, as many speculated, the death devil. It's actually the falling devil. Now, I could see a lot of people that predicted this. I personally didn't, and I'm very thrilled that I didn't, because this was very shocking, and I thought it was very fun, the falling devil, because a lot of people fear falling. And obviously we saw that the people in the last chapter, they were falling from buildings and killing themselves, and we see that it's because of the falling devil. So that was a nice little shock slash a surprise that I wasn't expecting. Now, with this falling devil is definitely cooking, because this falling devil is putting a lot of damage in. And what we see is that this falling devil, he's telling Asa, like, hey, I'm about to cook something exquisite. And, Asa is just running away. And, Yoru's like, hey, listen, Asa, wake up. Because Asa's still, it's just kind of like in a trance, in her own thoughts. And Yoru's panicking. Yoru's like, hey, wake up, dude. I need your help. I can't, defeat her just like this. And we see that we cut to a flashback of Asa, and we see pretty much what happened to her after the events of her mom dying during the the typhoon devil that destroyed her home and why not. So we see that she lives in a group home or orphanage or some kind, and we see that pretty much she has this cat, and she's kind of not really associating or having friendships with the other kids. She's very an outsider kind of thing. And she does have this cat though, and she loves this cat. And one of the people that take care of the home group, this lady, she goes and tells Asa, like, hey, you gotta get rid of that cat because some of the kids here are allergic to it. And Asa's like, what? No way. And this lady continues on by saying, well, you see, all these kids, they also lost their family in with devils and stuff. They also lost their loved ones from a tragedy involving devils. So maybe be a little bit more considerate about them. We're all a family here, okay? And Asa's like, well, I don't want to give this cat away. And obviously she feels a very emotional, very special bond with this cat. It's her pet, quote unquote. And we see that what happens is eventually Asa gives in, and she's like, okay, because the lady's telling Asa, I'm a find, I know somebody that will have a lovelier place for this cat than here. And this person that I know has a lot of cats, so the place that she's gonna go to is gonna be much better than if she were to stay here with us. So Asa eventually goes, okay, fine, but make sure it takes care of it, or why not? And she goes, yeah. It's Krabon. And the lady's like, what? Is that's her name, Krabon, the cat. And we cut to pretty much the lady smiling, and she tells, we see it's late at night now, and it probably has been a couple of days, and we see that one of the kids is talking to Asa at night and is telling Asa, hey, what happened to your cat, dude? And then Asa's like, oh, I gave her away to a nicer home for a lady. And we see that this kid goes and tells Asa like, oh well, I saw a cat that looked just like that, and the other day near the sewers and whatnot, and like it looks just like you. While we were playing outside, it looked just like your cat. We saw this dead cat by like the river or whatever. And Asa's like, what's going on? And then the lady comes in and she's like, hey, lights out, no more talking. And then the Asa goes to the lady and Asa asks the lady like, hey, what happened to Kroban? Kroban okay, right? And then the lady goes and tells Asa like, I told you, we're here. Everybody here is a family. We all lost our family. So like we are a family now. Nobody outside of this is our family. To say that scene was very like a horror film kind of inspired, it would be an understatement, because the tension and like the big like zoom in of the lady's face, and like the way she's looking at Asa, it gave me a lot of like horror thriller vibes kind of thing. And Fujimoto's a big cinema fan, so I'm sure that he took some inspiration for the way he paneled that scene, but it was giving me some like Midsummer kind of vibes, of just that creepiness and uncertainty. And I thought it was great. And what we see is pretty much Asa snacks back to reality like Eminem, right? And she wakes up and Yoru's like, hey, grab onto something, like wake up. And what we see is like Asa snaps back, and we see that she's like, okay, she's calm, and something's off though, because she's grabbing into a pole, but what we see is that she's actually upside down, like everything's reverted. And what I mean by that is that literally people are being sent to the sky, and Asa is holding for dear life by grabbing this guardrail pole kind of thing. And you see everybody lifting up, like kind of like the rapture, I would say. Like this is a very twisted version of a rapture, I guess, by the falling devil, because all these people are being lifted up to the sky. And what we see is that there's these doors, and pretty much the falling devil is saying like these doors will lead you to hell, pretty much. And I can't be the only one that thought during that whole sequence that I was thinking of Monsters Inc. Very random for a lot of y'all, but I literally thought like it was giving me Monsters Inc. vibes, where like the doors and then people disappearing. Like this is a random thought of mine, but that's the first thing that came up to my mind. Monsters Inc. I guess, but regardless, I thought it was great. And also during that scene where you see the person, the individual being lifted up and sent to that door, it was giving me some type of you guys ever seen the movie Get Out, when the main character, he's being like brainwashed and he's being like taken over, like that imagery of him falling down, but it's reverted, it's being sent up. I thought that it was very familiar to that scene. But what happens after that is pretty much Yoru is telling us like, hey, listen, you need to snap out of this, because if you don't, we're gonna lose. Like the only way I get powerful weapons is from you, so I need you like to get your act together so we can defeat this. And that's how the chapter ends. Asa's holding for dear life because she doesn't want to be sent up to the sky. And yeah, I think that it shows a lot of development with Yoru as a character as a whole, because we see that how much she depends on Asa. Because back when they first met, Yoru was like, I'll be the one in control, I'll be the one making the big plays, and I'll be the one driving the car, pretty much. And Asa, it turns out to be that no, actually Asa is much more powerful than Yoru, because unlike Yoru, she doesn't have any attachments to her weapons, so her weapons come out to be very subpar / mediocre. While in Asa's case, whenever she makes a weapon, her weapons are way more powerful than any of Yoru's arsenal. So I think it's I think it's awesome just seeing how far they've come, the two of them, and how much they're friends. I would go as far as to say that they're friends, because I genuinely think that Yoru does care about Asa. And Asa does, she feels some kind of way about Yoru. Maybe not a friendship, maybe there's some resentment towards Yoru, but I think they're at least, in friendly terms. And I think this chapter was great, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next chapter, because I'm very certain that Yoshida is going to step in and, he's going to help out Asa and whatnot, or Denji. Because all of this is happening, and I think Denji definitely needs to step in and do something, especially because Nayuta was like, hey, this devil, nasty devil, we need to take care of it. And I think, like I said, Yoshida has to do something, because as we know, currently he's talking to Fami. So I'm sure that once he realizes everything that's going down, he's gonna go to the scene, and it might be a big showdown between Yoshida, Denji, and Asa. like the three of them taking down this falling devil, because like I said, this falling devil was putting in work. This falling devil was definitely cooking. Like this falling devil definitely had the gear, and she wasn't just, you know, all show. She was definitely putting a fight. Like she was doing like the Rapture. She was genuinely creating something like the Rapture. That's how powerful she was. She was lifting people up to the sky and sending them to hell. Like, it's insane. Now, with that being said, what did you guys think about this week's chapter? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys thought it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Chainsaw Man and anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.